We're here to figure out which quarterbacks in the NFL that's contracts are coming up should be extended and who is the best candidate to be extended at the end of their deal, whether it's this year or the next year maybe with some of these guys, Tony. But I have a list of guys here that I'm going to go over and we're going to kind of narrow this down. Welcome to MJT Football Podcast YouTube channel. Just make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel before we get into this. I'm joined with my co-host Tony Tucker here. Tony, I'm going to start us off hot here. We're not going to do any of the small talk, anything. We're just going to get straight into it. You have to extend one of these quarterbacks, and then we're going to go on to the next one. I'm going to eliminate as we go. Mac Jones or Baker Mayfield? Who are you extending? And who are you sending packing?
Mac Jones. You can. I don't care if it's a clean start with Belichick or whoever. Like, he's backup level QB at this point. Maybe there's a universe where he ends up with like Shanahan or McDaniel or somebody and he earns his way back in somewhere. But I would extend Baker. I think Baker's been really good this year, even though the record might not reflect it. I think he's been top 12 quarterback this year.
Yeah, I think that I would extend Baker as well, especially since he's kind of found a great situation and he's found a connection with Mike Evans. I think the Bucs can get that run game going in future years if they did extend Baker, and Baker's been known to be even better with a strong running attack. So It's kind of a good situation for him. Mac Jones, ironically, if something happens and the Bucs don't go with Baker, could end up getting a shot at that. Or I don't know where Mac Jones is going to end up. He's probably going to be a backup somewhere. He would be a good backup in San Francisco, ironically, where they originally were talking about drafting him to. Remember?
Yeah.
He seems like a guy. He just needs to go to where there's a really proven system, and in a pinch, he can come in and try again.
But I never bought that because he was essentially just Jimmy G.
Not gonna shit on Mac Jones too much. My buddy Renee, he's gonna get after me. He really loves Mac Jones.
That's unfortunate.
He was here in his Mac Jones jersey, and he was like, "I won't let this dream die." As Bailey Zapp scores 0 points for 4 quarters in front of him. It's just painful to watch. All right, let's move on here. I think this one's easy, and these are progressively designed to get a little bit harder. Would you rather extend Baker Mayfield or Tua Tagovailoa as of today? I'm going Tua. Pretty easy to choose, but there is some red flags with Tua. They're still there. What we've worried about in the past, the second that Tyreek Hill's out the game, it all just comes right back up immediately, and you see it again.
Yeah, so this is much closer than I think you would initially think, right? The highs of Tua have been better, but the injury history to me is also a concern. And I think that there is, we've seen it now, dependency on the health of Tyreek Hill. So I'm going to extend Tua over Baker, like narrowly, but it's not like, this isn't a slam dunk to say like, oh, he's for sure going to have more successful years going forward than Baker Mayfield is.
Yeah. Well, I think you could see to his career as he ages go either direction. You know what I mean? Similar to Baker Mayfield, he's in a spot where he's like not proven himself and established himself to a point where he demands an extension, and the Dolphins have a problem on their hands where Tua could even hold out or fight for that big contract. And similar to Baker with the Browns. But he is in a position where, like, we've seen him be able to kind of point guard a star loaded offense. You know, when Baker was in Cleveland, it was Odell Beckham Jr., Nick Chubb, Jarvis Landry. For Tua, it's Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and all the running backs in the rushing attack that they have. But I think Mike McDaniel likes Tua. So I think that they are going to figure something out. I just wonder what that price point's going to be. Like, what is Tua going to ask for? Is he going to try and join his classmates as far as the number?
So if I was running the organization, I would come to him and I'd be like, let's make Tua look like the hero. You're going to sign a contract that's closer to what Daniel Jones got. So you're not going to be in the neighborhood of Burrow and Herbert and Hurts and all that. But you are going to get paid a lot of money. You're going to get a ton of guaranteed money. You're not going to have to go into next year wondering what happens if I get another concussion and I don't get any money guaranteed or thrown my way. But also, we don't have to like cripple the team so that we have trouble signing Jalen Waddle to keep him around, so that we have trouble continuing to bring in defensive pieces and keep that side of the ball healthy and strong and stuff like that. But Tua is going to get to make the announcement that, like, hey, just looking at the team, I felt like this contract is what works best. You know what I'm saying? Where he looks like the super friendly guy, and the Dolphins just say, this is what we're willing to pay you, but you get to go to the mic and say, I'm doing this. I'm taking this team friendly deal.
Yeah, I took the
Because
pay cut. Yeah. I think that'll be wise too, Tony. And getting the fans in your favor is always a great way to stick around for a long period of time. Let's heat it up a little bit here. You ready?
Yep.
We both have decided on Tua. And I hope that we agree throughout all this, so that way there's no hiccups in this. But Tua Tagovailoa or Justin Fields, which would you rather extend to a new contract?
Son of a gun.
Look at the talent and the explosives and what the guy can do, the ceiling. You go Fields. But Fields also has the higher potential to just completely crash and burn. Tua's proven he's going to give you top 15 up starter quality play on a consistent basis when he has the perfect situation and the O-line's holding up.
Yeah, I don't think either of them has like super long careers, right? Just playing style wise. But I think that
I'm a huge Justin Fields fan and I want him to succeed. I think I will stick with Tua. In the NFL, especially. I don't know, just
so I guess the reason that I would stick with Tua is just because of how consistently good he's been, right? Like Justin Fields to me is like too up and down, and you have to, at the very least, you have to have consistency at the quarterback position. So I would probably extend Tua in this exercise that we're doing. I would go that route too. But it's, again, very tempting because of what, like, if you told me that I'm going to get Justin Fields and Mike McDaniel in his offense
together.
Then I'm extending Justin Fields. But if I kind of have to keep this idea of where I don't really know where Justin Fields is going to be, and if the option is to still be in Chicago, then I'll take Tua.
I think I'm gonna go with Tua too. So we'll hold on to Tua here. He's made it through 2 rounds. By the way, we're gonna find out at the end of this who's the most extendable. Right. And now this one's a little bit more interesting because you got a smaller sample size to look at the other guy. Tua Tagovailoa or Jordan Love. Which are we extending? I think I personally would still probably stick with Tua, but what do you think? I know that you have a little bit closer connection to the Packers.
This is an easy one. This is Tua. Jordan Love, again, even after 3 pretty sensational games, I'll say, it just comes back and just missed a bunch of throws against the Packers where it's like, or against the Giants.
Yeah.
What happened, man? Like, you can't do that. You can't go like one direction or the other. I will say too, like the Packers offense is like oddly reliant on Jaden Reed end arounds in the red zone area. There was like 4 or 5 of these plays where I was like, okay, let's fake it to him maybe, and then come do a play off of that. Maybe leak out Tucker Kraft into the flat on one of them, and let's get a touchdown going there, or have an option where he runs, or do one of those cool plays that like Mike McDaniel's, like just steal from Mike McDaniel where they fake the end around to Tyreek Hill and then come back across and pitch it this way to like Devon A-Chain or something around the end. Like, it just looked weird and bad.
That was one of my favorite for my senior year. We had a play installed where it was the fake end around or fake handoff first, fake end around to the receiver, and they'd use it usually around the 10, 15-yard line. And the tight end is just pretending like he's blocking for the run play. And then he just times it perfectly. Like right when he sees the linebackers come up to play the run, takes off straight up the middle, and then you just got a seam rip right there. The quarterback just pulls, fires it right in there. That's my favorite right there. Yeah. All right, so we're still sticking with Tua. How about this one, Tony? And this might be where Tua takes his L. Jared Goff or Tua Tagovailoa? Which one would you rather extend?
I don't really love either one of these QBs outdoors, right? Like, for whatever reason, Jared Goff did it again against the Bears, where it's like, just break this narrative. Which is another thing. Like, aren't the Bears building an indoor stadium? I just feel like they're
Yeah,
taking
they
away
are.
a little bit of that windy, shitty
Yeah.
defensive football that they could play in Chicago.
Like,
But whatever.
that kind of like keeps you in some games and eras where you don't have a quarterback, which is basically the entire franchise's history.
Yeah, since 1960 when the NFL merged.
So if y'all build a dome, you better figure out the quarterback shit.
Well, yeah, they might finally be able to have a 4,000-yard passer.
There you go.
I probably am going to extend Tua again. Like, the thing is like Tyreek Hill is not replaceable, but speed is replaceable, right? He can find players in there where he can get comfortable with figuring out. Like, I think that if you really had to, like, let's see, Tyreek missed extended time. I still think they could do a lot of the same stuff that they do with Tyreek, and they do it already, but featuring Jalen Waddle and bringing in, Robbie Chosen to be a little bit of the decoy or second option on some of these routes. So, like, again, internet, don't freak out. Tyreek Hill is not replaceable. Okay, you cannot. He's one of a kind, one of the 3 best receivers I've ever watched, at least approaching that territory. So, like, I am going to extend Tua because I think the ceiling could be higher there, slightly higher than Jared Goff.
I'm gonna go Tua as well. I think I agree with you. I think that what we've seen out of Jared Goff is what we're going to see out of Jared Goff. And it's not like he's been bad. There was at times where his numbers were stacking up against everybody. But then there's other times you pick him out where he just completely falls off the face of the earth and he's so inconsistent at times. And Tua is kind of becoming the model of consistency. You know what I mean? He's kind of becoming, we're going to talk about who I think the model of consistency is here in a little bit, but he's becoming a guy that he gives you what you expect from him almost every single game. And speaking of consistency, another guy that I think has been extremely consistent, maybe one of the more consistent quarterbacks of the last 10 years or so. Would you rather extend Tua Tagovailoa or Kirk Cousins as of today, Tony? I think I'm going to take Tua still because of the age thing more than anything. And of course, Kirk just suffered maybe career-changing injury.
Well, you just told me on another show that we did that he's going to be back in 3 weeks or whatever.
I was wrong.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh,
Pretend I didn't say that.
I saw video of Kirk crawling on the beach somewhere. There's no way this man's getting back onto an NFL football field anytime soon.
Crawling on the beach? Is that real?
They showed video of it on the Manning cast the other night during the game when he came on. He wanted to go into the ocean on a little vacation, and they're like, "You tore your Achilles. You can't get up and walk in the sand." And he was like, "All right, I'm going to crawl." And there's just Kirk Cousins crawling to the ocean. I was like, that's a dedicated man.
No one thought about like wheelchair or something.
How long is this extension we're talking about? Because if you told me right now that I could get 3 more years out of Kirk Cousins, here's the reason why I buy Kirk Cousins can win a Super Bowl is that I watched Joe Flacco win a Super Bowl. And I think this Vikings team has something going. As many coaching openings as they're going to be, I don't think Brian Flores is going to get one of those jobs. So if he's back as DC and Kevin O'Connell is there, and let's say they draft a quarterback in this draft, which I don't think they need to necessarily do this year, right? If they roll this thing back and you extend Kirk Cousins and this defense continues to get better, I think the Vikings win this division next year because the defense is really rounding into shape. They found a lot of players. They're going to have to most likely replace Danielle Hunter. Doesn't seem like they're going to want to work out with him long term. So you're going to need pass rush of some kind, but also with the way that Flores is aggressive and blitzes, I don't necessarily think that they need to spend mega money on a pass rush. Like he'll find a way to manufacture enough pressure to do good things.
So you're going Kirk. That's where you're heading here.
It is,
and both Kirk and the Vikings have both the organization and Kirk have voiced that they want to work something out long term.
Yeah,
they want to do it.
Kirk is what, 35?
35, yeah. Gonna be 36 next year.
And Tua's 20 something.
Yeah, he's same age as Herbert.
25,
25, 24, 26, maybe at the oldest.
I guess, like, I just wanted to make an argument for Kirk. but just a 10-year gap.
Gonna
I
go to
can't.
her.
Yeah, I gotta go with Tua. I just wanted to make an argument for
Okay.
Kirk.
I'm glad you go to her. Kirk does deserve an argument. Kirk, up until his injury, was having as good a year as he's ever had. But it's kind of like I said, when I talk about consistency in the NFL, Kirk has been that guy. He has been consistent since he's taken over for RG3 back in the day, honestly. But let's continue this. Moving on to Tua Tagovailoa or Brock Purdy. We got only two more, Tony.
Brock's my guy. Like, and when I say that, I'm also in the camp of like, I don't think he should be the MVP. Like, I wouldn't vote him as the MVP. But I still think he's doing everything that's asked of him. He's doing it at an extremely high level. And we can't continue to do this thing. Well, it's like, well, what happens when he doesn't have his weapons? They've had their weapons for 75% of their games, and they're undefeated in those games pretty much when they start and finish with like Trent and Debo and CMC and Ayuk. Like, so if that continues to be the trend, I also like Brock's a little bit more mobile, a little bit more finesse in the pocket. Hey, we need something with our legs on, 4th and 4 or whatever. We could figure it out with Brock Purdy. So Brock Purdy would be my extension in this scenario.
This is very tough for me because I feel like Tua Tagovailoa could do exactly what Brock Purdy's doing in his spot, but I'm gonna go with Brock also. I think I'm gonna go with Brock also because also you didn't even mention you throw in there they're similar age in this comparison.
Yeah.
So Brock obviously he probably has concussions in his career, but not at the level that Tua is at, where it seems like Tua might be a big hit away from his career being done. And the thing is he's still out there trying to truck people. Like, what are you doing, Tua? What are you doing? If the Super Bowl is not on the line, I want you to slide every time. If it's freaking 3rd and 9, game on the line, you need to get the first down, and the game's over. It's just a regular season game, and you get to 8 yards, and there's 2 guys to truck to win the game. Fucking slide, lose the game. Jesus.
I don't know if I'd go that far. I think if you gotta try and win it, you gotta try and win the game. But there is something like I feel the same way about when I watch Josh Allen. I'm like, bro, it's the first quarter and it's like 3rd and 17, and you're trying to jump for 5 yards through 2 human beings. Like, you're doing too much.
That Titans game a few days ago, like I saw Will Levis just acting like he's a running back. Like he wasn't even he didn't even care. And I was like, okay, I'm just glad. Like my first thought was, I'm glad Tua doesn't do stuff like that. Next drive, Tua's out here trying to truck people. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, and
what are you guys doing? It's the second quarter. It's a tie game.
We didn't talk about Will Levis in this exercise, and for good reason. But he impressed me a little bit with the lower body strength in the pocket, like to be able to stand there and shed off some of those. Like, you see what the weight room has done for that guy to be able to break a sack in the pocket and then get out and then sling the ball downfield. I thought was he made some impressive stuff where I'm like, okay, Titans should be excited about starting next season with him.
Yeah, he's got a cannon. He's someone I think be interesting to see how much he grows with some more experience in the league and understanding things a little bit more, because some of the throws that he's been making this year is up there when you talk about arm talent, and I was low on him to start the season. So, all right, last one, Tony. Go ahead. It was the Mayo. It was the Mayo. It was all the Mayo. It just irked me. It ached me. Everything.
They turned him into a joke. They turned him into like a circus sideshow.
Exactly. He even got a sponsorship where it's like he got a lifetime Mayo. Jesus. Yeah. Anyways, this is the grand finale, Tony. Brock Purdy. This is for the chip, the most extendable quarterback that's kind of up for an extension in the near future. Brock Purdy or Dak Prescott? I don't even think I have to say my answer. If you ever watched this show before in your life. Dak Prescott, Tony.
I know you're going to say Dak Prescott. I'm going to stick with Brock Purdy on this one because, again, I get to keep him with Kyle Shanahan. And if that continues to be the case, like a few moments ago, I talked about how like Tyreek isn't replaceable. I don't think Christian McCaffrey and Debo are necessarily replaceable, but to me, the things they do, the physicality in which Debo plays with, we've already seen running backs have major success with anybody with the last name Shanahan head coaching in the NFL. So like, I think those spots are more like they can be replicated easier. So you can continue to build a system in an orbit around him that will allow him to be successful for 10, 15 years. There's no reason why we couldn't see this 49ers of this team playing in the next, like 3 of the next 5 Super Bowls.
I can say the same about the Cowboys. We them boys.
No,
They them boys.
it's the Cowboys.
I mean, it's gonna come down to playoff time. Can they get over the freaking playoff hump? And that's the big eyesore. But I challenge all the Dak Prescott haters out there. I'm sure a lot of people just said Brock Purdy in their own head, so I'm not gonna fight against a million people. I'm not gonna fight you either, Tony, because we're running out of time. But if you go and look at Dak Prescott's record, you go and look at what he's done each year. When he's in the game, the Cowboys win. It's just, can we get the clutch wins when it matters most? Obviously, Brock Purdy just almost went on a Super Bowl run until his arm got ripped out of its socket. So
yeah,
that's the big point there.
I was gonna ask you, did you hear Cam Newton talking about Dak Prescott being a game manager on his podcast?
I can't with Cam, man. I can't
like,
comment on anything Cam. Cam to me is that one season. All right. That 1-15-1 MVP season. That's Cam Newton to me.
Yeah, and that's fun, right? And
I'm sorry. What was Cam Newton then? What was it? Opposite of game manager, game loser?
I don't know. I didn't watch it. I just saw excerpts of it, and I was like, this is a wild statement that's happening here.
Yeah.
Because it's always been my contention with Cam Newton was like, if he just won a little bit more and found a way to extend his playing career, he would have been like on a short list of Hall of Fame candidacy, right?
Yeah. Well, if they just win that Super Bowl, and like you said, he's probably got that extends his career in Carolina already alone. Just that right there.
Yeah, see, with the new ownership, I don't think David Tepper, I don't think much is going to last long in Carolina.
He just wouldn't give a shit anyways. Like, yeah, you just carried us to a Super Bowl, basically had the entire offense's all-purpose yards, but hit the road. We're going on.
Mikey's on coach number 5 or whatever in like 48 months. Like this
and
dude,
quarterback number 10.
Yes, this guy's just burning through everything in that organization. So it's interesting. We can end it here. I would go with Brock just because I know I get to keep him there, and I like Kyle Shanahan better than McCarthy. But it'll be interesting because I think this is going to be the NFC Championship game, and maybe we get to revisit this same conversation again. But it's going to be fun no matter what happens. 2 really great football teams getting to smash and wreck each other's brains and bodies for our entertainment. Thank you, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas to all of you for your sacrifice.
Yeah, Merry Christmas. Thank you guys. And I'm a big history buff, man. To see the 49ers and the Cowboys rivalry has been renewed over like the last 5 years or so. It's fun to watch, and kind of like you can just kind of flash back to the 90s and flash back to the 80s when it was happening back then. But anyways, appreciate you guys tuning into this one. Let us know in the comment section, who's the most extendable quarterback with their contract coming up right now? Dak Prescott or Brock Purdy, or is it someone else that you guys would like to give a shout out to in the comments? Anything else, Tony?
You just made me think about it. The quarterback situations were kind of reversed. If you think about it, like one side had Young, where he was like a little more mobile, kind of more similar to Dak, I would say, in that situation. And then you flip at the other side, you had the guy who just sort of got it done, Troy Aikman, who's underrated in the pocket. And people treated Troy Aikman kind of like how they're treating Brock Purdy. Like Troy Aikman wasn't getting MVP votes back in the day, and the guy was winning multiple Super Bowls because it's like, well, he has Emmitt Smith in that offensive line, and Michael Irvin and Alvin Harper, and Jay Novacek and Daryl Johnson. It's like, okay, he's not getting credit for anything, and the dude's just winning Super Bowls like crazy.
Yeah, we all totally remember all of that, Tony. Definitely.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I'm the fucking old guy on the show who, yes.